Well, hello everybody. Happy Sunday. I was going to take you along on a walk with me, but as I came outside, I realized it was windy and the rain has started coming down. So I decided I'd take the opportunity to get in my vehicle so I could have a quiet space where there wasn't any interruptions and where I can continue my thoughts. I want to make this short and sweet, but I'm not known for short and sweet. I have a very analytical, processing brain, which used to get me in trouble as a child because I didn't just take information that was given to me. The wheels in my head just turned and I always say, why? And, adults don't like to be asked why. So it got me in a little bit of trouble in school and various other times in my life. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that part of my personality because it has brought me down these trails that very few people find because I do ask the questions. I do consider the information I'm told. I don't just trust anybody. And that's a hard thing because my lack of trust in most people has segregated me in a lot of ways. But the more I get into things, the more grateful I am that that's the case. Even on my faith journey, the Bible does call for believers to be on a narrow path and to be of a peculiar nature. And so I think the peculiarity that I've started to have a reputation for and the narrow road I'm walking is the natural thing. So here I am. What I want to get out of this is who is interested in understanding my unpopular opinions. I thought that maybe I'd do a week where I take each day and I just share an unpopular opinion that I've grown to have. And it's not just one that I chose to have. It's one that I developed over the course of my own research and the course of my questioning the things that I've been told and the things that I've come across, my journey, if you will, that I would say, it just caused me to question things. Is that good for me? Is that good for my family? Our company, Maker's Mark Herbals, evolved out of our own home apothecary, if you will, out of my own want to do the best I can for my family and for myself. And we have had some major health things come up for ourselves and, for my children as I've, birthed children and became a mom. I was diagnosed with an incurable condition when I was 27 years old, not even a year after I'd given birth to my fifth daughter. And prior to that, when I was 23, I gave birth to a child with spina bifida. I mean, I was a child myself, and here I was giving birth to this, I was 24. I did have a baby at 23, but I also had a baby at 24. But anyhow, I was still very young, and here this little life was given to me and my husband to nurture and care for and raise up to be the best she could be. And I've made a lot of mistakes, and we've done some things that we try not to live with regret, but that if we could go back, we would do differently with the new information we have now. And I just am so grateful that our bodies were created so resilient and that we can heal. And when we do the right things for ourselves and put our body in the right position to be able to heal, it knows what to do. I mean, you scratch yourself, you don't have to tell it what to do. It heals. I had a tooth removed recently and my gum is healing. I'm not telling it what to do, and inherently knows what to do to restore my gum tissue and my bone, tissue, or my bone health. Your body has an intelligent design. We were created by a creator, an intelligent creator, and he knows our bodies because he created them, and he knows what our bodies need, and he provided that for us in his creation. It's all around us. I took a walk with my husband earlier and I just get so distracted looking at all the wild plants growing around us, and I'm like, what is that? What is that? And wanting to know, is a medicine cabinet in my backyard? Because most of us don't even pay attention. We just think they're weeds and they don't look like the grass and they don't look like our neighbor's lawn. And so they just must not be useful or beneficial to us. But one of the most beneficial plants in the kingdom is stinging nettle leaf. People do not like stinging nettle. You don't like to come across it because it burns. It scrapes you. It stings. That's how it got to be known as stinging nettle. But on a nutritional side, its roots grow so deep into the soil that it is incredibly nutritionally dense. Every single part of it, from the leaf to the root to the seed, every part of the stinging nettle plant is so beneficial. And we just so far removed from even understanding that. And the most recent herbal course I've taken was done in the early 1920s and 40s. We're talking not even 100 years ago for all that information. And back then, this herbalist was teaching his herbal formulas to physicians, to doctors, to be able to give to their patients. And here we are, not even 100 years later, just tipping on 100 years later. And that's just unheard of. I mean, standard American care, they don't even know what nutrition is anymore, what to tell you, what herbs do, or how things contraindicate. And, over the course of time, I've come to realize that the misuse of herbs is what has caused some herbs to be labeled as dangerous or poisonous or not beneficial. The misuse of herbs has caused some things to be black labeled and redlined as far as being healthy or even helpful in times of need. And there is a skill that is required for herbalists to understand the nature of plants. Not all plants are helpful. Something that I had to really realize for myself and repent for and to ask, forgiveness for, was buying into the idea that it's only pharmaceuticals that cause us harm. Herbs, there's no harm in herbalism, but that's not true. That is not true at all. Just like it said, too much of a good thing is not a good thing. That is true for herbs too. That is true for the plant kingdom too. And if you don't have a proper understanding of plants and how to identify them as far as their chemical nature and how they could harm or how they could help, some very dangerous things can happen. And I think that's what has come out in different studies is that they're not used properly. And so when not used properly and not properly understood, they can cause harm. That is a very true thing. And from my standpoint, when I became the face of our company and not just mom trying to take care of her family, I felt like I had a greater responsibility to know what I'm talking about. Of course, I always wanted to know what I was talking about, for my kids, but I was listening to other people's information. And, I had 5 little girls, 9 years apart, and we homeschooled often. And so we were always together and with a special needs child and in and out of therapy all the time. I didn't have a lot of time to do my own research. I didn't have a lot of room for questioning things. I had to make quick decisions on what to do a lot of times. And I just went with what I thought, with the knowledge I had, was the best. And sometimes I didn't know what else to do. I knew it wasn't the best thing, but I didn't have any other idea of what to do. And it seemed so emergent or so urgent that I had to make a decision. And so, of course, prayerfully, we did these things. And I trusted in the peace that I was given and the peace that was removed to guide me. But again, as I said earlier, we chose some things that we would choose differently if given the chance again. So I praise our Creator that He created us so resilient. But the body can only take so much. And that's when we start to develop symptoms and the body starts to cry for help. It's a SOS. Symptoms are an SOS from the body letting you know something's not right. And so here we are. So over the course of the last 2.5 years that we've been a company, our 3rd year anniversary will be in September. I've really done my due diligence to try to question everything I was taught, everything I knew, up to the point of formulating things. I can take any herb and I can make an extract from it. I've got that formula down. But to really create something that's going to help people on an individual level and on a more broad level even, I've learned that I have to take into consideration the differing constitutions of each of us. And it's not that we're all created uniquely, absolutely. But it's not so much that there's a million different ways to care for the body. There are a few things to consider as, for you as an individual. And I could go into greater detail on that later, but there are things that are genuinely good for most people. And, that's how we started out, is trying to do those things that were generally good for most people. As, as I learned and became refined, and we refined our processes and so on and so forth. So again, this whole journey has brought me to develop some very deeply held, just unfavorable and unpopular opinions. And I've never really cared to be the popular one. I really never have. I don't want that pressure. I don't want to have to succumb to the requirements of popularity. I want to be able to, drum to the beat of my own self and to journey on my own. And I guess that's why I've been able to arrive to the place I am, is that I don't care to be popular, and I'm going to say what I believe and share my opinion, whether anybody agrees with me or not. I do hope people understand that my heart is not to be right. It's not to be, I got to be a know-it-all. I don't want that pressure either. I don't want to be seen as somebody who knows it all. I just want to be seen as somebody who cares and who is willing to take the effort to inspect everything, question everything to get to the truth, because I do believe there is a universal truth. I do believe there is an end to research at some point. I don't think it's a never-ending thing, but I think life is a never-ending process, because I don't think that I'm going to figure it out all, even in my lifetime. I just hope to set my children that far ahead in their lifetime, and then they can go a little bit farther than me, and my grandchildren will be that far ahead in their lifetime. And I just hope to leave a legacy and set them afoot on a course that just propels them further along than I was ever, propelled upon. And I had to learn from myself. I've been on this journey for 20 years, and 20 years of learning and trying and questioning and growing got me to this place. And so if you think you would be interested in my unpopular opinions and what those, contain, please leave me a comment letting me know that, hey, you're interested, because I don't want to do and put together something that nobody is interested in. Being unpopular, maybe nobody cares and maybe nobody is interested. And so, I don't want to do this for nothing and, take away time that I could be spending with my family and, on other things that I need to do if nobody's interested. So if you see this, connect with me somehow, send me a DM or comment below, or somehow let me know, hey, I'm interested, like it, just something to let me know that you've seen it, you understand where I'm coming from, and you're interested in learning more. Some of the things I'm going to be sharing about, I'll give you a little teaser. My unpopular opinion about tallow, my unpopular opinion about isolated minerals and inorganic elements for the body, my unpopular opinion about alcohol use for herbalism and making herbal medicine. Those are a few big ones, and there's more. Things that are just things that people just do as a normal thing and don't question. It's just not the time to live blindly. It's not. We really need to live with eyes wide open. It's become so necessary for us to advocate for ourselves and our families that we can't just believe that what we're told anymore is fact. We just can't. There's so many layers to even figuring out what is fact from being told something is fact. A lot of things people are doing that is causing collateral damage in their bodies, and things that I did, things that I had my children do, things we used, I'll never use again. Things that I considered, I'll never consider again. But there are some good things that we're doing too that align with where I've evolved to. So we're going to be doing a little bit of reformulating some things and making things better and more aligned with where we're at now. And I'm really excited for what the future holds. And I'm really excited for where this journey leads me and the connections that I'm able to make. From the very, very beginning of starting our company, I knew I could not take the pressure of it being all about me. That's why my name is not in the name of our company. Nothing about us personally is in the name of our company other than where our faith lies, and that is in a maker. And I believe that our maker has left his mark on all of creation, including the herbal kingdom. And we use his herbs to make medicine for his people. And so there you have it, Maker's Mark Herbals. It never had anything to do with the whiskey. I don't even use alcohol, so it never had anything to do with that. So if you've ever considered that, now you know. It's all grounded in and rooted in our faith. And I knew that this could never be about me, that it's always going to be about him and what he created and how I want to love and care for his people. And I have to be able to take criticism, and I can now because the pressure isn't on me. I'm just trying to show up as a vessel, as a willing participant in, this life of caretaking, and helping others. That's something I've always wanted to do. And I've always had a heart for service in that way, truly helping. And so I'm not worried about sharing my unpopular opinions and what it may lead to, because I know that the right people will find us. We will be connected with the right people, just as we have as a company. We have not paid for marketing one time. I've felt the pressure of content creation off and on, but I realize what demands are on me. I have 7 children. I have 5 children still at home, but even the 2 that aren't home anymore, they still need their parents, and we have a home to take care of. And I'm a homeschool mom. We now have our products in 4 to 6, potentially 7 different avenues where they can be, resources where you can go to the store and you can pick up one of our products, or you can go, online and get one of our products. It's in therapy places. And so you could go to the gym or to your colon hydrotherapist and you'll find our products there. And that's brought us even to another level of, now our reach is broadening because we're collaborating with others. And that's the way I wanted to grow. I wanted to grow through word of mouth. I wanted to grow through face-to-face interactions. I wanted to grow through people knowing what I stand for and knowing what we're about. And then the word of mouth. Somebody heard about us and they told somebody else because they found value in what we had to share and what we do. And that has created the organic nature of our company. I still don't have the opportunity to do a lot of content creation. And the way that my personality is, I'm just not, I don't feel like I'm good at it. And there's so much to learn about technology I don't have time for. I don't even make my own graphics because I don't have time to learn Canva. And, PowerPoint's a little outdated. Word and Excel, what I learned in college in 2004, 2000 to 2004, that's very outdated. And I don't have the time to relearn these things at an efficient rate to be able to benefit our company at this time. So we do outsource most of our graphics and our imagery and, our labels. We don't create our own labels. We buy them from, a reputable place that makes really nice waterproof labels that don't leave a residue. So those bottles can all be reused. I love it when people reuse our bottles for something else. That's, repurposing is something that we believe in, and why we don't use plastic in places that we can't. Plastic deteriorates. It leaches, chemicals into things, and we just aren't going to do that. Some of our lids are plastic. Yes. And I know that there's some times where plastic isn't favorable, especially when traveling. And so we do take practicality into consideration when we're choosing our packaging. But for the most part, it's all rooted in, what's going to be the safest, most practical and repurposable way to package our ingredients. And so everything we do is just very thoughtful. If you ask me why I do something, I'm going to have an answer for you because I thought about it before I did it. And whether it was the right decision or the wrong decision, I thought about it and I used the information I had at the time to make what I thought was a right decision or a decision in a time of urgency. And so that's just something you'll get from me. And that's why I'm not good for small talk. I'm not good for short conversations. I'm not good for 3-minute reels. I'm not good for 90-second time span, attention spans. I'm somebody who wants details, and I'm so analytical that I just have so much I want to share. So I'll leave it at that. I've given you a lot more than I thought I would. I think this is probably a lot longer than I intended it to be, which is usually the case. But again, if you got this far, I'll restate, leave me some sort of response that lets me know you are interested in my unpopular opinions, and I'm going to provide you, all the information of why I came to that opinion, so you can do your own research and your own deep dive to see where your analytical self brings you. And maybe you'll arrive to have the same unpopular opinion as me. Maybe you won't, and that's okay. We're all on an individual journey. This is mine. This is my family's. We're truly a family company. And so I'm just sharing with you where we've evolved to. So with that, I will say enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you next time.